we are having a discussion, a very serious discussion about this situation. What happened in Mississippi with two black men? What happened there was not only a shame upon the American people, it's not only twisted, depraved, but it is at a level where black men have to wonder, why are these stories not made public more often? Because it happens a lot more often than what you see on TV. A lot more often than what you see on TV. 6 white officers, some of whom call themselves the Goon Squad, plead guilty to state charges in what happened to 2 black men. 6 white officers. We have an update to the case out of Mississippi. 6 white officers, some of whom call themselves the Goon Squad, have pled guilty to state charges because they took turns doing stuff to black men that was disgusting. 4 former officers, 4 former deputies, actually 5. 5 former deputies in total, including 1 police officer, have been charged in the incident. So, we're going to have a discussion about this, man. We're going to have a discussion about this. In Mississippi, there were 6 white officers, some of whom call themselves the Goon Squad, who pled guilty to state charges because they did some pretty twisted stuff to black men. Now, we had the full names of all 6 of these officers, and their pleas come Monday after the former officers, 5 of whom are Rankin County Sheriff's Office deputies, and also a 6th officer for the Richland Police Department in Mississippi, have pled guilty this month to federal charges in connection to what happened in January. The former deputies are Christian Dedman, Hunter Elward, Brett McAlpin, Jeffrey Middleton, and Daniel Opdyke. And the ex-police officer is Joshua Hartfield. And Dedman was charged with also home invasion, and Elward was charged with home invasion and aggravated assault. And now McAlpin, Middleton, and Opdyke and Hartfield each face an additional charge of first-degree obstruction of justice. Now, these 6 officers, they took turns essaying 2 black men. Seriously. If you're unaware of what happened here, that's what happened here. They took turns. The officers didn't have a warrant when they entered a home. There were 2 black men who were caring for an elderly white neighbor, and some white neighbors called the police on those 2 black men, thinking that they were home intruders or they were going to abduct that senior citizen person in their home, and that was not the case. The police showed up without a warrant. They immediately assaulted these men. They used all kinds of toys that were, let's just say, from certain stores. They poured chocolate on them. They took turns. And it was what many in the black community refer to as buck breaking. It's when you attempt to, it's basically when you attempt to humiliate a black man in a very twisted way. And these 2 black men are Michael Jenkins and Eddie Parker. And Eddie Parker said he enjoyed seeing the walk of shame during the plea hearing Monday of the officers when they had to walk into court. You know, at one point, these 2 black men were treated as perpetrators. In fact, I would argue they were treated worse than that. They were treated like animals. And it's very nice, very refreshing to see these officers get their just desserts. You know, I'm gonna follow this story to the very end, but this was buck breaking. They tried that upon these black men. Get a good look at all their faces. Just shameful. This is why I can't support any political party, because no political party wants to solve this. Nobody wants to get rid of qualified immunity. Nobody wants to defund the police. Nobody wants to fix these people. They just want to give them more money so they can continue to do stuff like this. It's absurd, man. It really is. It really is. So again, I want to give you these guys' names again. I want you guys to hear their names again, man. Former deputies Christian Dedman, Hunter Elward, Brett McAlpin, Jeffrey Middleton, and Daniel Opdyke, and ex-police officer Joshua Hartfield were all charged with conspiracy to commit obstruction of justice, according to a news release from the Mississippi Attorney General's office. Additionally, Dedman was charged with home invasion, and Elward was charged with home invasion and aggravated assault. The release says McAlpin, Middleton, and Opdyke and Hartfield each face an additional charge of first-degree obstruction of justice. All six appeared with their attorneys in Rankin County Court Monday, shackled at their wrists and wearing prison jumpsuits. The names of the county jails in which they are being held were covered by duct tape. Former officers pleaded guilty August 3rd to federal charges in the case, in which U.S. prosecutors said the former officers kicked down a door of a home in Braxton, Mississippi, where the black men were living, and assaulted them for 2 hours. The officers did not have a warrant, and some called themselves the Goon Squad because of their willingness to use excessive force and not report it, according to a federal charging document. The 6 officers were charged with a combined 13 felonies in connection with the, oh my gosh, horrible stuff that happens to those black men on that night. These guys use toys on these black men. Toys, like toys, the kinds that you get from your stores, the special stores. Poured surf on them. There was a lot of sick stuff that happened here, man. They used slurs. It was buck breaking. They waterboarding, tasing, kicking them, assaulting them. One of them shot one of them in the mouth. Yeah. And there's no one in their right mind who's gonna say this wasn't motivated because of the color of those black men's skin. Nobody in their right mind. Wow. I mean, I've seen some stuff, man, but this, every time I do an update about this case, it just, the more I think about it, the more disturbed I become. Like, how could you do this? Who raised you? Like, what was, like, explain to me, what was the thought process? What was the thought, like, what was the necessity of this? I have to understand that. Like, how did this aid you in pursuing justice? How does this aid you in pursuing justice? What did this do to make the streets safer? I need to understand that for myself. What did you trying to buck break 2 black men? What did that do to make the streets safer? It's just pure evil. It's the embodiment of evil. It is everything that evil is. This is everything that evil is. This is it. When you intentionally target 2 individuals because of the color of their skin so that you can take out some sick pleasure, that is evil. I don't care if the victim was man, woman, some other gender. I don't care what gender. That's evil. That is not just white supremacy. That is the embodiment of evil. You deserve, each of these men should go to prison for 500 years. 500 years. 1,000 years piece. They should get life plus 1,000 years. Because I'm going to tell you, this isn't even the most unique case of its type. Here, you think it's unique that police officers target black men? Let's actually get into it. Philip Nordo, black men. This is a Philadelphia police officer. His name is Philip Nordo. Philip Nordo was a Philadelphia police officer who, for decades, right, for a long time, he was targeting black people, black men in particular, and essaying them. He was threatening to put charges on them or to accelerate their charges. He was doing that, right? Ex-Philly cop sentenced to decades in prison for essaying witnesses and informants. This man's name is Philip Nordo. Philip Nordo, right? Let me go ahead and show you. So, Philip Nordo is a former Philadelphia homicide detective who was found guilty of essaying witnesses and informants, and he was sentenced to decades in prison. Philip Nordo was given 24 and a half to 49 years behind bars by a Philadelphia judge after being found guilty in June of essaying, stalking, official oppression, theft by deception, and related crimes. The theft charges related to him stealing crime reward money in the unaliving of an off-duty officer and sending it to one of his victims. Nordo was a 20-year veteran of the Philadelphia Police Department before he was fired in 2017. This guy was on duty for 20 years. 20 years! His conviction comprised dozens of cases and has already led to exonerations, Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner said. A 2019 grand jury report alleged Nordo groomed his male victims during ongoing investigations and engaged in conduct to make the men more susceptible to his essaying and coercive behavior. Now, I want to show you something real quick. I want to press, hold on. I want to show you something real quick. We need to search something real quick. We need to find something on the page. Let me just look down. So I want to see if I can find that real quick. Where is it? What? He asked incarcerated sources to tell him when inmates who were homosexual were to be released so that he could get at them. So he was targeting men. Yeah. A lot of them black men. I can go ahead and tell you that because I've researched the Philip Nordo case several times. A lot of them were black men. Yeah. It is not uncommon. In fact, you think that's uncommon? I just reported on something. This is Vancouver police officer. Taser. A Vancouver police officer in Washington State has been charged with assault. This happened not that long ago because I just reported on it. Vancouver officer charged with assault after threatening taser on man's groin. So she was going to use a taser on a black man's lower parts. Buck breaking. Andrea Mendoza of the Vancouver Police Department here in Washington State, that's what she was going to do. Against a black man. Yeah. So, as you can see, this whole buck breaking thing that police officers try to black men, it is not unusual. It is not unheard of. It is a very common thing. Very common. The only reason why it's not bigger news, the only reason why more people haven't caught on to it is because people, for some reason, for whatever reason, they don't want to be honest about it. Because, it is truly a pattern when someone like me can think of that stuff up the top of my head. A lot of times, disproportionately, when officers do stuff like this, it is black male victims they target. Now, they do target a lot of black women, don't get me wrong. But when they do target men, for some reason, they enjoy targeting black men. I don't know what it is.